Massey Ferguson 35. In 1956, as America was recovering from the war, farmers from Iowa to Georgia needed a durable, easy-to-repair, and reliable machine to help them work their fields. The Massey Ferguson 35 was born into this context, the first tractor to bear the Massey Ferguson name after the merger of Massey Harris and Ferguson. With its compact design, powerful performance, and simple design, the MF-35 quickly won the hearts of farmers everywhere. From 1956 to the early 1960s, nearly 388,000 were produced at the factory in Coventry, England, and later in Detroit, USA. The initial retail price of the Massey Ferguson 35 in the late 1950s hovered around $2,500, depending on the engine version and configuration. For many families, it was a big investment, but also a wise investment for many years of reliability. The Perkins 3-cylinder 2.5L diesel engine was the preferred choice, producing around 37 horsepower, enough to pull a plow, harvest hay, or operate PTO shaft equipment such as mowers and lawn rollers. This diesel engine was known for its durability, low fuel consumption, and easy starting in cold weather. The gearbox was 6 forward, 2 reverse, and on some higher versions there was a multi-power gearbox, increasing the number of gears to 12 forward, 4 reverse. The ability to shift clutchless thanks to the multi-power allowed the driver to easily change speeds while operating, a rare feature at the time. The PTO shaft rotated 540 RPM, operating peripheral equipment well. In addition, the MF-35 also has a hydraulic system with precise control, making it easy to lift and lower the equipment, very suitable for multi-purpose work on small and medium-sized farms. In terms of weight, the MF-35 weighs about 3,200 pounds, ideal for maintaining grip and stability without the need for additional counterweights. It is about 117 inches long, 63 inches wide, and 54 inches high, compact but not weak. The fuel tank has a capacity of nearly 13 gallons, allowing the machine to operate continuously all day without refueling, a big advantage during busy harvest days. Many of you watching today's video have probably sat behind the wheel of an MF-35, right hand on the gear lever, left hand waving to relatives from the end of the field. In the memories of millions of Americans, the Massey Ferguson 35 is not just a tractor, but a loyal, devoted companion who never betrays your trust. More than 60 years have passed, but many MF-35s are still working hard every day. It is a testament to a machine born with passion and lives forever in the hearts of those who have been attached to the land, the seasons, and their homeland. If you have ever driven an MF-35, share your memories with us below. And if you have not, perhaps it is time to restart the dream. Massey Ferguson 135. In 1964, Massey Ferguson introduced the MF-135, the first tractor in the legendary 100 series. The MF-135 was produced in Coventry, England, and in Detroit, Michigan, for the North American market. Over the course of a decade, from 1964 to around 1975, more than 270,000 were built, enough to make it more than just a machine, but a reminder of modern post-war agriculture. At the time of its introduction, the MF-135 retailed for around $4,300 to $4,800 depending on configuration. For many families, it was a big investment, but worth every penny. Because once you put a 135 on the farm, it was usually there, for life. The most popular version uses the Perkins AD 3.152 diesel engine, 3 cylinders, 2.5 liters capacity. This is one of the most reliable engines ever installed on a light tractor. It starts easily, runs smoothly, and is very fuel efficient. With good load capacity, this engine has made the MF-135 a mainstay on countless farms for decades. About 45 horsepower at the PTO, enough to pull plows, harrows, harvesters, or run equipment such as hay cutters, balers. Not too powerful to be wasteful, but strong enough to complete all daily tasks. The MF-135 is equipped with a standard 6-speed forward, 2-speed reverse gearbox, and in higher versions, there is an 8-speed option. Even a multi-power system allowing 12-speed forward, 4-speed reverse without using the clutch. This feature was called buttersmooth shifting by many farmers, especially useful when working on slopes or slippery lawns. Operating at a standard speed of 540 RPM, the MF-135's PTO was powerful enough to run most of the equipment needed at the time. The deluxe version also had a live PTO, allowing control of the equipment independent of the transmission, very convenient for detailed work such as cutting grass close to hedges or when using a lawnmower. Weighing in at 3,100 pounds, it was about 117 inches long, 64 inches wide, and 75 inches tall, without cab. It was just the right size for easy handling, but sturdy enough to work steadily on rough terrain or wet soil. The diesel version had a 10.2-gallon tank, allowing all-day operation without frequent refueling, a big advantage during the busy harvest season. If you've ever sat behind the wheel of an MF-135, you probably remember the deep, steady hum of the Perkins engine in the morning, the crunch of the tires on the wet earth, and the peace of mind that, come rain or shine, the machine would start your day. The Massey Ferguson 135 wasn't the most powerful, nor was it the most modern. But during the 1960s, there were few tractors more reliable. Today, there are thousands of MF-135s still in operation across the country, or on display, restored as time-honored relics. And perhaps, for many of us, it's more than just a machine. It's a memory, a symbol of hard work, honesty, and the trust between farmer and his field. Massey Ferguson 265. The 1970s were a time of change in American agriculture. Machinery was becoming more powerful, farms were becoming larger, and farmers needed tractors that could work long hours, day after day, without complaining. And in 1975, the Massey Ferguson 265 was born, a step up from the already successful MF-165. Manufactured in Detroit, Michigan, from 1975 to 1983, the MF-265 quickly became a hit thanks to its perfect combination of power, durability, and ease of operation. During nearly a decade of production, tens of thousands were sold, serving farms from the Midwest to the Southern Plains. At the time of its launch, the MF-265 was priced between $22,000 and $25,000, depending on the transmission and equipment options. This was a big investment at the time, but for the sensible farmer, it was an investment in stability, durability, and efficiency. There are many reasons why the MF-265 is remembered today, not because of its flashy appearance, but because of its practicality and reliability that have been proven over time. The MF-265 used a Perkins 4.236, 4-cylinder, 3.9-liter engine. With a capacity of about 60 horsepower at PTO, this was one of the most famous solid-state engines of that period. The engine ran smoothly, had stable traction, and was especially fuel efficient, a vital factor in seasons when fuel costs were high. The MF-265 had an optional 8-speed, 2-speed transmission, or an upgrade to the 12-speed, 4-speed power shift system, which allowed for smooth shifting without the need to depress the clutch. Those who had driven it through hours of haymaking or plowing would remember the feeling of shifting without stopping, saving time and effort. The PTO shaft had a standard speed of 540 RPM, with the option of live PTO or independent PTO, which allowed equipment such as mowers, lawnmowers, and water pumps to be operated without stopping the wheels. This was a very popular innovation at the time. With an average weight of 6,385 pounds, the MF-265 was heavy enough to have good traction but still flexible for a variety of terrains. Overall length was about 139 inches, width was about 67 inches, height to the steering wheel was about 85 inches, easy to climb, control, and look around while working. The MF265 comes with an 18.5-gallon fuel tank, enough to run for 5 to 7 hours straight, allowing you to get through a full day's work without having to refuel. For those who have lived and worked with the Massey Ferguson 265, it's easy to describe. Its reliability is ingrained in the memory. It's a machine that starts up on spring mornings, endures scorching summers, and keeps working through the fall mud. The MF265 isn't the most modern machine, but it's a reliable friend, the kind of tractor you can hand the keys to your son, knowing it will run as smoothly as it did when you picked it up from the dealer in the 70s. Massey Ferguson 675. The 1980s were a challenging time for the American agricultural industry. In that context, Massey Ferguson introduced the 600 series, and the standout among them was the MF675. Manufactured from 1983 to 1986, the Massey Ferguson 675 was a mid-range tractor, powerful enough to handle heavy work, but still retaining the simplicity and ease of operation that was the hallmark of Massey. Although no official production figures are available, the MF675 was widely sold in both the United States and Europe, and was especially popular with medium-sized family farms. At the time of its launch, the MF675 started at around $23,000 for the two-wheel drive version, and could be as high as $29,000 for the four-wheel drive and enclosed cab option. For many farmers at the time, this was a worthwhile investment, but those who chose it often never regretted it. The MF675 used a Perkins A4.236 four-cylinder, 3.9-liter engine. With around 70 horsepower at the engine shaft, this was one of the most famous engines for its durability, fuel economy, and ease of maintenance. Quick start in cold weather, smooth operation, and no complaining when you put it to work all day. These are the things farmers remember about the 675. Equipped with a 12-speed, for speed, synchromesh gearbox, the MF675 allowed the driver to change gears smoothly without stopping the vehicle. Optional 2WD or 4WD also provided the necessary flexibility, especially useful in soft ground conditions or when pulling heavy loads. The MF675 is equipped with an independent PTO, rotating at 540 RPM, allowing you to operate external equipment such as lawn mowers, hay balers, or irrigation pumps without affecting the vehicle's movement. The live PTO mechanism ensures initiative, making it easy for you to adjust when working close to fences, garden corners, or on uneven terrain. Weighing in at around 6,700 pounds for the 2WD version and up to 8,000 pounds for the 4WD version. The MF675 is heavy enough to maintain excellent traction when plowing or pulling harrows. The wheelbase is around 90 inches, the overall length is 144 inches, and the height is around 100 inches with the cab. This is a reasonable size for both large fields and small pastures. The tank is around 20 gallons, enough for you to work for 6 to 8 hours without stopping to refuel, a big plus during busy season days. The Massey Ferguson 675 is not a tractor to brag about. It was not the pinnacle of power or technology at the time, but those who owned it, they would say simply, "I turned it on every morning, it worked all day, year after year, never let me down." In a world of increasingly complex machinery, the MF675 remained true to its old philosophy, simple, efficient, and reliable. That is why it is still remembered as one of the most reliable tractors of the 1980s. Massey Ferguson 390. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, the American agricultural industry faced major changes. In that context, the Massey Ferguson 390 was born part of the company's famous 300 series tractor line. Introduced around 1986 and produced until 1997, the MF390 was a step up from its predecessor, the MF290, aiming for stability and high adaptability. Although no specific production numbers were widely announced, the MF390 was widely distributed throughout Europe, North America, and Australia, becoming one of the most popular models in the mid-range segment. In the U.S. market, the initial price of the MF390 was around $23,000 to $29,000 US, depending on the choice of transmission, drivetrain, and cabin equipment. Not a small price in the early 90s, but for experienced farmers, it was a reasonable investment for a machine that would last for decades. The MF390 is equipped with a Perkins A 4.248 or 4.236 engine, 4 cylinders, 4.1 liters capacity. With a standard capacity of about 76 horsepower and up to 90 horsepower in the turbo version, 390T, this engine provides stable traction, especially ideal for pulling, tilling, operating presses, or cutting hay. Perkins diesel engines have been proven over decades to be hard to break down engines as long as you take care of the oil properly. The MF390 allows you to choose from a variety of gearboxes, from the standard 8 forward, 2 reverse, to the 12x4 partial power shift, even 18x6 on upgraded versions. The synchromesh makes shifting effortless, especially useful when changing direction repeatedly between hay bales or heavy loads in the field. The 390 has an independent PTO shaft, rotating at 540 RPM, or a combination of 540 over 1000 RPM depending on the model. This allows for flexible connection to a variety of external devices. With live PTO mode, the operator can turn the PTO on and off without stopping the vehicle, a feature that is really useful in seasonal work. The average weight of the 2WD model is around 6,300 pounds, while the 4WD model can reach up to 7,500 pounds. Although heavier than the MF265 or 290, the overall design still allows for flexible operation, even in tight areas. Measuring around 144 inches long, the height to the top of the cab is around 100 inches, making it compact enough for storage, yet tall enough for a clear view. The MF390 had a 28.5-gallon fuel tank, good for 6 to 8 hours of continuous work, especially useful when working away from the farm or in large fields. When you were looking for a tractor that would last through the 1990s, the Massey Ferguson 390 was often one of the first names that came to mind. It wasn't the biggest, most powerful, or most complex, but it was the most reliable, in every sense of the word. It started up every morning. It didn't complain when you worked overtime. And it was still there, waiting for you, years after the others had retired. The Massey Ferguson 390, a no-frills machine that just kept working, day in and day out. That's what farmers need, and remember. These Massey Fergusons are more than just machines, they are memories, a part of the lives of millions of American farmers. If you've ever driven one, share your story below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. See you in the next video, where we'll continue our journey with the machines of the Golden Age.